Nobody.
Yep.
Oh, great, we are on air. Perfect.
Yes, we are.
All right. Well, in this case, first we're going to talk about how hardcore is not the most important segment. There's this bubble, and people love to just sit in their own little information bubbles. It's not just around video games itself. But the biggest example I can think of is Fox News last year and a certain presidential candidate. And they were so absolutely convinced that this particular candidate was going to win that when they didn't win because they ignored all the available evidence, they were just seemed completely deflated on air.
Well, you have to admit, though, seeing the look on the supporters' faces of that candidate was worth the wait. I mean, it's like someone being told, look, you've got this contest in the bag. We bribed the judges. You're going to win. And they lose, and the look on their face, I knew I was going to win. I knew it.
Priceless.
I mean, it was so worth it. It was great. He was even better than 2008, in my opinion.
Oh, I agree. But what's hilarious is that when all you're exposing yourself to is this particular bit of information, that's where the problem comes in. Because when information comes in from outside of the bubble and reality hits from outside the bubble, that's when you run into issues. There are two particular things. Actually, a third one I thought about as well. That perfectly illustrated this recently. One was Adam Sutzer had posted a video on Rev3 Games. And his video was, well, I went to a launch, or I went to Black Friday at at a GameStop and was waiting in line, and I was talking to the people, and I found out they don't think the way I do, and they have all these other ideas, and they had the incorrect information here and there, and I realized that, I'm not the only important thing in the industry. It's like, well, no shit, Sherlock.
Yeah,
no
shit, Sherlock. Yeah, that's all I was about to say. The thing that shocks me is that, I used to like Adam Sessler. I'll admit it. I loved X-Play. Like, way back in the day, I liked a lot of their skits, like the things people say on Xbox Live.
Right.
Oh God. I mean, but I kind of lost respect for Adam Sessler when he, let's see, what did he do that really? Oh, when he was talking about how Nintendo needs to fire everyone.
Oh, right.
He's like, they need to fire everyone. I'm like, you do realize the Wii was a fluke, right? like Iwata, it's kind of like when you see a little guy knock out a big guy, and they totally weren't expecting to knock him out. It was like, shit, I didn't know I was that strong. I was coming here to get my butt whooped, or at least put up a good fight, but I knocked them cold out.
Exactly.
I wasn't expecting it, but you're right. I mean, it's kind of like you hear these people and they talk about their data, and they're using data. I mean, like, I guess because I went to Catholic school, and they teach you how to break things down and try to use scientific reasoning and that type of thing. At least at my school they did. It seems to me that, if you get data that contradicts what your hypothesis is, you have to change your hypothesis.
Exactly.
Go back to the drawing board. You can't continue to pound away at that disproved hypothesis.
Exactly. I mean, if the only information you're getting is from very particular sources, places like Kotaku and IGN, GameSpot, if that's all you're getting your information from, you're gonna have a bad time. Yeah,
you're absolutely right. I mean, I can't argue with your statements. You're absolutely right. I mean, the sad thing, the really, really sad thing, the thing that really hurts the most is that, I'm a Japanophile. My last year in college, I didn't really have a senior year in the typical thing because I attended summer school for 3 summers, and I went to pre-college, so basically I got out early. So my last year in college, I spent a semester in, well, not a semester, a quarter in Japan, and I'm like a raging Japanophile. And these people who are like, well, Japan doesn't matter. I mean, you realize that Japan is the garden. Everything that we like the games that we like, they're grown in Japan. Like, that's why I'm so hurt that all of these Japanese third parties are trying to become westernized. I'm like, why?
Stick to what you do best. We don't.
Why would you do that? I mean, you don't see Nintendo saying, "Oh man, those first-person shooters are shooting off." Well, Mario's gonna have to be a third-person shooter now.
You know who we need? You know who we need to be more like? We need to be more like Bethesda. They've really got it figured out.
Yeah, yeah. Now, I'll be honest. Guilty pleasure. I love, like, even though I hate Bethesda's shoddy game design, I
Hmm.
love their games. Like, I have Morrowind, Oblivion, Skyrim, Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas. I have all their games, but oh god, they're so broken.
I know. That's what kills me. Like I haven't played Skyrim because I hated Oblivion. For the life of me, I hated Oblivion. But I love Fallout 3 and New
Oh yeah.
Vegas.
Now, see, I love New Vegas. Fallout 3, like, the thing that kind of got me about Fallout 3 was that the perk system, like, everyone's like, the perks in Fallout 3 are great. I'm like, they're kind of, I mean, Fallout 3, no matter how powerful you become, you still feel like every fight with a high-level enemy feels like a life-or-death struggle. In New Vegas, once you get to, like, level 45, 50, it's like, you're super, like, I'm one-hit killing things.
Right.
And that's even without cheating, you know. Now, the second time I have it on PC, the second time I played it, I cheated because I'm like, you know, I want to see what it would feel like to be a god and just go around killing everything.
Right.
Because why not?
Yeah, exactly. I just in Fallout 3, I just love sneaking behind like the most badass of enemies and just dropping grenades in their back pockets and watching their asses blow off.
Oh yeah, that's fun. Me, when I play the game normally, how you're supposed to, I go with sniper rifles and like I get my gun and laser skill up because that anti-material rifle from that game, and once you get your VATS up, oh, it's so much fun to just one-hit kill. It's like it's like they build up these enemies in the game. Oh man, they're so tough. Yeah, well, my anti-mat rifle, one shot in the head and they're dead, son. So,
All right.
I mean, I gotta say I agree with you. I guess we'll move on to the next BS myth, mine, and then you can finish yours. But you can finish up with the third one. That sound good?
Yeah, sounds fun.
Okay. As I said earlier, people saying how healthy Sony and Microsoft their gaming division. Sony, oh god, Jesus. Well, let's start with Microsoft because they're the easiest. They haven't made any money off of their Xbox division since its conception, so you can make of that what you will. You know.
Right, exactly.
I mean, if I hadn't made any money in my business since the 2.5 years that I opened it, I wouldn't be in business.
Exactly.
And Sony, oh god, they better be happy that they've got their TVs and phones and computers and life, because if they were like Nintendo and solely had gaming, they'd be effed.
Oh, yeah, well, I mean, Sony, all their other divisions don't do quite as well as they used to either. I mean, that's the thing, is before the PlayStation, Sony was electronics, and movies, and all that stuff, and now they still do that, but their business has been that portion of their business has really been eaten into by companies like Samsung. And
well, they've got competition.
Oh yeah, exactly.
And they've got Panasonic. I mean, because Sony, I mean, I've said this in one of my videos. Sony is an electronics company. They pump as much technology into their products as humanly possible, which makes it really expensive, but also cutting edge. But the thing is that consoles are like the lowest common denominator. That's what makes them so great, is that, I might not be a computer geek, I might not build my own PC, but if I want to play a nice third-party game or something like that, I can get a console and play it.
Right, exactly.
I mean, why would I want to pay $500 or $600 plus $50 for the HDMI cables, because no one had HDMI when almost no one had HDMI when the PS3 came out. So those cables were really expensive.
Oh yeah.
Now they're cheap. I mean, you can get them for like $10. They come with stuff now. Oh, you got a new TV? Well, here's an HDMI cable. Get it out of here. They're taking up space in my store.
They come with stuff now, except for new PlayStation 3s.
Oh yeah. Sony is, well, that's the cost. To tell you the truth, I would have rather them have kept the backwards compatibility.
Yep.
Because now I have I had to get like a router for my PS2 and my PS3 because there's still PS2 games that I still like to play, like all my Persona games. and my RPGs, because the PS3 didn't have nearly as many RPGs as they had during the PS1, PS2 era, and I'm an RPG nut, so...
Yep. Oh yeah, oh yeah. That's the one thing that's killed me this past generation is a lack of role-playing games.
Well, they're all on the Vita, but, I just... Every time, I got my tax return last year, and I was like, my income tax, I was like, man, I could spend this money on anything I wanted. I'm like, I can get a Vita, I can get a new PS3, and I was like, every time I go to the store and I look at the Vita section, I'm like, no, I just can't bring myself to do it. I mean, like the two games I want, I just can't. I mean, and it's not even the price of the actual Vita. Like, even though they've now lowered the price, it's the price of those damn memory cards.
Right, I know, it's ridiculous. It's like the cost of a 64 gig memory card is just a little bit less than a 2DS.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
I mean, I could literally, and the thing is that I just got like a 32 gig SD card for my 3DS. I have the original because I'm a Nintendo early adopter because Nintendo's products don't screw me over.
Oh yeah, agreed.
But I got the original, and I got a 32 gig thing for like $19.99 on sale.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what was Sony? And I mean, I said this in one of my videos. Sony was given the template as to how to make a successful handheld. Mm-hmm. They were given the template. I mean, I mean, in business, you look at people that are successful, you say, what did they do to get to that point? Let me emulate them.
Exactly.
Unless you're Sony, they're like, oh, okay, we're going to blow them out the water with technology. I'm like, have you looked in video game history and seen all the handhelds that came out and competed against the Game Boy that were technically more advanced than the Game Boy and just are dead now?
Yeah, Game Gear, Lynx, Neo Geo Pocket Color. I mean, I got
a Neo Geo Pocket.
I love that thing.
It's great, but look, my Game Boy, I still have my original Game Boy somewhere in this house, and I have games for it, and I play it occasionally. And you know what makes the Game Boy so great? The library. Oh my God, the library for that system is ridiculous.
Oh yeah, no kidding. But see, I worked for Sears for a couple of years. This was years ago, and this was when I was there. It was like the PlayStation 3 had just come out, and I sold electronics there, televisions, cameras, the whole nine. And I never recommended Sony Electronics for a few reasons. When you could look at their televisions, for one, side by side with a Panasonic, a Samsung, and LG. And they were the exact same performance, but the other brands were $300 or $400 less. Exactly. I never recommended Sony. When it came to cameras, when they had the same performance and sometimes even the same price, but the memory cards were 2 to 3 times the price, just because Sony likes to go proprietary, I would not recommend it because it's ridiculous to me.
Sony hasn't been cutting edge and inexpensive since the Walkman. Right. And the thing is, like, when Sony was at their best during the PS1 era when they were competing against Nintendo. Right. Sony has destroyed themselves competing against Microsoft. They've destroyed themselves. Mm-hmm. And Microsoft hasn't made a profit. So, when I see these people, like I made a bit about Jason Rubin, I would say that the Xbox 360 won last generation. And I'm like, well, now we know why your company went bankrupt. You don't live in the same reality as the rest of us.
I don't know. Between Sony and Microsoft, do you know who actually won last generation? Neither. No one won. The entire industry has suffered because of it.
Look, Microsoft started this with their Xbox because instead of building good, high-quality first-party games, like Sega did for their Dreamcast and their systems, they just simply, we'll pay them some money. It's the typical Western market response. Throw money at them. Exactly. And, like, Sony's like, well, we'll do the same thing they're doing. I'm like, listen, okay, Microsoft has more money than a lot of countries operate, like, their operating budgets for an entire year. Exactly. Microsoft has, like, combined, has a ton of cash. Sony has a lot of yen. But yen isn't the same as an American dollar. and yen, like, Sony's like, we're going to go toe-to-toe with Microsoft. you mean you're going to hit their toe with your fist because you're that small compared to their money. You know, because if Microsoft wanted to, if they wanted to, they could continue to float the Xbox brand, and I mean they'd lose money, but I mean it'd be like 20 billion, but they could afford to lose 20 billion year after year after year after year after year because their other products sell. Sony can't even do that, you know.
I know. They can only absorb these things for so long. And I mean, Microsoft, I'm really waiting to see who becomes Microsoft's new CEO, to see what's going to happen with the Xbox division. Because the thing is, when the Xbox was first announced, after the Dreamcast died, and I heard all the deals Sega was making with Microsoft, because you got to realize I was and still am a huge Sega fan, so I was on board with the Xbox. I loved the first Xbox. Xbox 360 came out. I was on board with that one for a long time too, until I just got burned out on it. And then Xbox One, no, screw that mess. I want nothing to do with it. But Microsoft, I feel it just, something has got to change. Either they have got to completely shore up their business practices to benefit the consumer a bit more, or they've just got to get out. One of the two.
Well, I've told this to people, and they thought I was lying. I was like, look, Microsoft tried to secure third-party support by adding in the online DRM. Okay, because they got tired. Even Microsoft knows that the money-hatting is not working, because like I could see if they were money-hatting games that were huge sellers. They're money-hatting games that really aren't selling. Like they didn't need to money-hat GTA 5. Okay, they didn't have to pay because that's where GTA's audience is. But their money, a lot of the games that they've money-hatted didn't sell all that well. But you know. It's like I paid $100 million for a game to be an exclusive, but it only sold enough so that everyone made $20 million. I'm $80 million in the hole. Thanks a lot. That's not very smart, but Sony. I mean Microsoft.
Exactly. Wow.
And Sony, I mean, oh god, the Sony drones. Oh. We love you, Shuhei. we love. Here's the thing that gets me. I saw a thing where this guy was falling asleep in a developer conference, and I'm like, you know, this is why I really am not I have Sony. I have more non-Nintendo consoles than Nintendo consoles, but this is why I'm not a Sony fan. Like I don't die hard for Sony, because if Iwata had gone to a developers conference and was falling asleep while people were talking, you never hear people like, you need to fire that asshole. But Shuhei, oh no, we love Shu because he's awesome.
Sony can do no wrong.
Until they charge $600 for a new console, then.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, $599.99.
$599 US. Ridge Racer.
You know, I'll just sell one of my kidneys. Then I can afford the PS3.
I know what I'll do. I'll get a second job selling other people's kidneys to get PlayStation 3s.
Yeah. You'll just, you'll get them drunked up, and they'll wake up in a bathtub full of ice and a missing organ. So you want to move on to that third topic?
All right, third topic. I'm kind of grasping here, but bear with me. I think our third topic, our third misconception, should be that Nintendo has lost touch with its audience. I don't think that's the case at all. I think what's happened, because in the first year of the Wii U, everyone was like, well, it's not doing well, and Nintendo can't capture the same lightning in a bottle they had, and this and that, the other thing. So, well, the first year with the Wii U, Nintendo was trying to let third parties step in and show that they could do it on a Nintendo system, because they made all these deals with third parties before the system even came out.
Yep.
And then third parties, shelved some of these games that were complete. They stabbed Nintendo in the back. They delayed and pushed back titles to do multiplats. And it crippled the first year of the system, and it hurt Nintendo's reputation. And now Nintendo is finally getting back to what they're doing.
Yeah, but you also have to keep in mind the most important thing, and I keep on telling people this: the Wii was a fluke.
Yeah, that's true.
It was a fluke. It always takes at least a year for a Nintendo console to really start to gain steam. The N64, remember when the N64 first came out? We had Wave Race, Mario 64. I think that was it.
I think that's about it, yep.
that first year we had, I mean, and we were happy. We weren't, oh, there ain't no game. Look, I'll play the hell out of Mario 64 and Wave Race. You know, excuse me. I unlocked everything in Wave Race. I had the dolphin where you could like ride the dolphin instead of the motor, the jet ski. And
Nice.
I wasn't complaining because your parents bought your console, and it was like, oh crap, if I complain, my parents might take it away or something.
Exactly.
They'll never buy me another one. So you just kind of dealt with it. I don't know why these people. Oh, it's no games. Look, the Wii U is backwards compatible. I've been playing Metroid Prime Trilogy. Xenoblade Chronicles, the new game plus mode, because now I can get revenge on all those damn monsters that killed me the first run. It's like, because Xenoblade Chronicles was like an old school RPG. Don't go in this direction or the monsters will kill you because they're way overpowered.
Oh god, there's a new game plus for that?
Oh, once you beat it, you get to carry over all of your weapons that aren't like major story-based like quest weapons. Like you don't get the fully upgraded Xenoblade, because I mean that would just be overkill. But I mean you get to keep all your levels and all your items and all your armors, and then you can basically get revenge on all those enemies that like the first time you were like, oh shoot, I hope I don't aggro that enemy because they are like 30 levels above what I am and they'll massacre my entire team. New Game Plus, you can just get revenge on all those dudes. It's like, yeah, remember me?
Wow.
Which, I mean, like, here's the thing. Xenoblade Chronicles was a love letter to old school RPG fans. It was like, you know what? Remember when Japanese RPGs were awesome? Well, here's another awesome one.
I haven't had an experience in an RPG like I have with Xenoblade in the last few weeks. It just, it's totally different and unique, and I absolutely love it.
It's good.
Oh yeah.
I'm upset that GameStop reprinted it and like was charging like 99, 100 something bucks for it initially, or was it 70? It was like some ridiculously high number.
$75, I think.
That is, I mean, that was just GameStop, you're foul. You are a foul. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I have gone to GameStop with like $20 back in the day when the PS2 was in. And like the PS3, like now, like $20 and found some game that I really wanted to play, but I didn't want to play full price for, and got like 2 or 3 of them. But some of the things they do at GameStop just foul.
Right. I agree with that completely. I do. I mean, luckily I got my copy for $40 on Black Friday, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
But back on the topic in specific, I mean, like you said, the Wii kind of was a fluke. I mean, it's in retirement homes for one. Grandma and Grandpa want to buy a Wii. I've got a friend that doesn't play video games, but he has a Wii.
Yep.
It's that sort of thing. I mean, the Wii U is going in a different direction. So what if it never reaches the heights of the Wii? So what?
The Wii was the NES. Like Nintendo basically flips their everything over every few console generations. So you had the NES, the Super NES, the N64. Then they flipped it, and the GameCube was kind of like the fluke of that generation.
Right.
So now the Wii is the NES, and the Wii U is the SNES. Now, I still believe that the Wii U will outsell the PS4 and the Xbox One just because it's the cheapest of the consoles. And it has those Nintendo exclusives, which, like, here's the thing. Nintendo exclusives not only appeal to hardcore gamers who just love those franchises, but to casual players. Yep. Like, if you go up to someone and say, hey, man, there's a new Mario coming out. Oh, shoot, Mario, I got to get that.
Exactly. I mean, did you see Hip Hop Gamer's review of Mario 3D World he just posted?
Oh, no, not Mr. Mario Can't Save Nintendo. No.
It was actually very good. It was very well done that he did that.
Well, of course Super Mario 3D World is awesome. I was talking with someone on one of my channels, and they were like, I said the sad thing about Square Enix and Capcom is that when there was no one to take up the mantle when the people who made their classic games that people love left.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, what people don't know about Super Mario 3D World is that Miyamoto had nothing to do with making it, but you wouldn't know if someone didn't tell you.
Yeah, exactly. And people think that Nintendo won't be able to get by once Miyamoto's gone.
Same thing with Anuma.
Yep, that too.
Once this new Zelda is finished, the Wii U Zelda, they're going to take Anuma, and they're going to like say, okay, here are like 10, 15 people, and we want you to show them how to make Zelda games.
Exactly. I mean, not only that, but you're going to have people that have been passionate about Zelda since they were kids that are going to want to make Zelda games.
Exactly.
And they're probably going to make games better than Aonuma did.
Yeah. Now, Sakurai, I don't think he's going to do that because that dude, his arm was like about to fall off, and he's like, I must. My arm is calcifying. Oh. And he's like 44 years old. I hope when I get 44, I look like a Sakurai, because that dude is like eternally youthful. He's like, well, what do you eat, Sakurai? 3 candy bars and a big gulp of caffeine. Jesus, how do you stay so young looking? He looks like, I remember seeing a thing of Sakurai from like when the first Smash Brothers came out, and he looks very little has changed with that guy.
Some Japanese people are like that, actually. It always appears like they never age until they hit about 60.
Yeah, I think Sakurai might be immortal. I think the only way to defeat him is to cut off his head. Only another immortal can slay him. I don't know who we can find. Did you see Cliffy B talking about how Nintendo is actually great? I'm like, wow.
I did. I saw that.
You know what must have happened? Sony and Microsoft must have refused to money hat his new exclusive, so now he's trying to see if they can get on something else, which happens to be an Unreal game, but not Unreal because he's not with the company that makes Unreal anymore. So it's called something else, but it's Unreal. It's like, well, it's an online multiplayer tournament shooter. Really? That sounds so familiar, Cliffy B.
I know.
Let's see. Didn't this game come out in the 90s? I think it was Unreal Tournament, right? Wow, that is a new IP right there.
Oh man, but yeah, I mean between that and Yoshida, telling the Sony fans he actually owns 2 Wii U's. I mean, people should kind of get the hint that it's actually a really good system, and it's not what's being portrayed to be, and that's kind of where the bubble comes back in again.
Yeah,
you sit in this little bubble and you're just confronted with the same information over and over again, and you come to believe that certain things suck, or this isn't worth any money. I mean, this isn't worthwhile, or whatever.
Well, I swear one of those Wii U's was taken out back so they could attempt to steal the technology.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, look at what they're trying to pigeonhole the Vita into. It was like the Vita when it first came out, this will destroy the 3DS. And then about a year after, okay, you can use it to remote play for your PS3. And then a year after that, you can use it to remote play from your PS4, and you can do asymmetrical gameplay, kind of like a Wii U, but we don't want to mention the Wii U right now because we're innovative.
Right, exactly. Jeez.
That is so sad. I mean, seeing the Vita, like at this point now, it's like seeing a person. Like a fight, a championship fight where one fighter was completely outclassed and is still trying to fight, but it's like their eyes all swollen shut. They can't see. I'm like, throw in the towel, please. Just throw in the towel so we can go and so you can. I mean, because I don't think you can afford to support this console. Basically, the Vita's a handheld console. It's a portable console.
Mm-hmm.
You can't afford to support this. I mean, when your main first-party teams, like your Naughty Dogs, the people that make Gran Turismo, aren't putting games on your handheld, there's something wrong.
Exactly.
Intelligent Systems had no problems putting Super Mario Dream Team on the handheld.
Mm-hmm.
Or EAD didn't have a problem putting Mario 3D Land on the handheld, but apparently putting Sony's #1 IP, Gran Turismo, on the Vita presents a challenge.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
And that's frightening. That is, I mean, people don't know how in dire straits. Like Sony really needs this PS4 to take off. Okay.
I know. Well, I mean, there's an article on Player Essence this morning that actually says that there's a creative director, Super Icon's creative director, says developing for the Vita financially ruined him.
Yeah, I read that.
And I mean,
I'm not surprised.
I know. I'm really not. Cause, I mean,
he believed the Sony hype. He's like, well, the Vita is going to take off. Look, third parties are not going to put the same effort into your games as first parties would. Okay? Like Knack. Knack shouldn't have been a launch game for the PS4. Would have been nice on the Vita, though.
Oh, sure.
Knack would have been, because it takes about 6 to 10 hours to beat, and it has replayability in a limited fashion, I guess. But, and I mean, I wouldn't have put it on a console, but on the Vita, would have been perfect on the Vita.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But that would have made sense, so Sony wasn't going to do it, though.
Can't have that now.
They're like Square Enix.
Oh, God.
Really? Oh, no. Re-release Chrono Trigger HD, or even better, make it into a 3D game with cel-shaded graphics a la Dragon Quest VIII on the PS2 and release it on everything? Oh, hell no. That makes sense.
Mark my words. Mark my words. In 2014, we'll see another big gaming company go under like THQ did.
Well, I've told this to people multiple times. I seriously doubt that Capcom and Square Enix are going to see the end of this console generation.
Oh, yeah.
I don't see it happening because Capcom, our fans of Resident Evil are growing too old. Really?
So we need to hit the
actually
88.
Said that?
Yep.
Out loud where someone can quote you? Literally, you said that. Well, then, I guess you better tell my my mentor in college was like a 60-year-old college professor, and she loved Super Mario World. Loved it. Loved it. She wrote an entire paper that was basically for her doctoral thesis. That was basically a book about how Super Mario World can socializes people, with the multiplayer and everything. But people are too old. You might as well throw away your Super Mario Worlds because you're too old. Not to mention them retiring Mega Man when the creator left, which is like Nintendo saying when Miyamoto leaves, "Oh, no more Mario."
Yeah, right.
Miyamoto's gone. Screw it. But that's Capcom for you. If there's a wrong way to do something, they will find it.
Exactly. Oh, look, Monster Hunter 4 is selling incredibly well and has netted us $40 million. Let's put it into mobile. That's going to do great.
Yeah.
And then we're back and talking about the bubble again. God damn it.
Never mind that the profit margin in mobile is so razor thin, it's not even funny.
Exactly. I mean, that's another gaming bubble that's just waiting to burst, and I think Angry Birds Go is like the harbinger of that.
Yeah, but you can always have the supercar for $140.
Oh God.
The supercar. I remember back in the day, like when I was really into kart racers, because I have Sonic Racing Transformed. I have that. It's a great game. The only reason I got it because I like Skies of Arcadia Legends, and it has that character in it.
Yep.
Although they didn't include the great music from that game in the friggin' game.
I know.
But anyway, I remember when kart racers had unlockables. Remember those days when if you were good enough or if you played it enough, you unlocked the best car, but now you can just spend $140 and get it.
Jeez.
That's just, that just takes the fun out of gaming.
No kidding. I mean, that's, microtransactions of that nature just need to die a horrible death.
They do. That and season passes and DLC, not expansion DLC, where it's like we're adding entirely new areas of gameplay or new ways to play the game. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about the DLC that there was no damn reason that shit shouldn't have been in the game. Like the Mass Effect 3 Prothean DLC. Mm-hmm. Oh God. Oh Jesus. I'm not a violent person, but if I could have gotten the programmers for that game and the EA execs, because that was an EA exec pushing for that thing to not be included with the game. If I could have gotten that person alone in a room, oh God. I pre-ordered that game. I like Mass Effect 2 so much, I pre-ordered Mass Effect 3. Mm-hmm. Still didn't get the DLC.
Wow. That's saying something.
Oh God. Oh Jesus. Mass Effect 3. Oh. Well, since we finished our three topics, I guess we can move on to a little bit of miscellaneous before this ends.
Sure.
What are the top 5 games you've played this year? And then afterwards, the top worst games you've played this year.
Gotcha. Well, I don't spend money. I don't tend to spend money on worst games, so that might be a very small category for me. But as far as best games are concerned this year, I mean, games that I've played, I would definitely put Xenoblade as my top.
Oh yeah,
Close.
that game is awesome.
Oh yeah, I'm like 35 hours in, and it's phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
Super Mario 3D World's gonna be a close one behind that.
Oh, that game is so good.
So good. After that, it gets kind of fuzzy because there's a few, like Pikmin 3. I only played it for about 15 hours, but it was 15 glorious hours that I waited 9 years for. Let's see. Monster Hunter 3, I've put over 100 hours into. Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate for Wii U. A Link Between Worlds, I think, would have to go in my top 5.
I'm loving that game.
I
have replayed that game about 6 times now, and not even like the last time, not even for gameplay purposes. I just love that final boss music. To hear Ganon's proper final boss music from Link to the Past again.
Yep.
Oh God. They should have just forget that thing they stole from Aghanim's theme song. Just keep that music for all of his fights, because that music lets you know it's time. It's do or die. There's no messing around.
Exactly. And I think Pokemon X would have to be my top 5, because I haven't played a Pokemon game in years, and this one just sucked me right in.
Well, I told my friend this. X and Y are this generation's blue and red.
Yeah, pretty much.
They're this generation's blue and red, and the 2DS is this generation's Game Boy. They're not calling it a Game Boy, but it's the Game Boy, okay?
Yep. Exactly.
And, people were like, oh, I don't want it. Look, it's not for you. This is a Game Boy, okay? It's a Game Boy for little kids. I mean, don't get... Who are you to stop a child from having their first Game Boy? It's like when you get your first car, or you go on your first real date. I mean, it's a part of life. You get your first Game Boy.
Yep, exactly.
At least in my family, your first Game Boy, that's what you got, the first Game Boy.
Yep.
That's just how it was.
Exactly. Well, that's what I can think of at the moment. How about you on your end?
Let's see. I've already done my top 5, but I think I will stick with what I said. I'll reiterate it. Mario 3D World, Saints Row the 4th, because any game that lets me hit someone in the face with a dildo bat. Just, here's the thing I like about Saints Row. Saints Row knows it's a game. It isn't trying to be a graphical showcase. It uses Unreal 3. It's not like, they aren't trying to be, they aren't trying to spend, huge amounts of money trying to impress you with how it looks. The game is like, is this fun? Yeah, then put it in the game. And that's how games should be.
No kidding, yeah.
I mean, I guess my favorite handheld, I would have said Fire Emblem Awakening, because, oh my God, I've sunk huge amounts of time into that game. But Link Between Worlds, that game it edged it out, because Link Between Worlds, it brings me back home. It brings me back home to my first Zelda, and I mean, I love it. And I've been playing the hell out of Fallout New Vegas. Like the first time I played it the right way. No cheats, just, as the character. But now I'm cheating with my overpowered characters and doing all the side quests and everything.
Right.
That's the one thing that kind of stinks about Bethesda games. Once you do everything, literally everything, there's absolutely nothing left. It's like, well, I can just mess around, go around, become a serial killer, kill everyone. But, I mean, I'm not that type of player, so... Because that's kind of sick, I have friends who do that. They beat Skyrim, they beat everything, and now they're just going around killing everyone. Jeez. They start a fight in the Imperial City in Oblivion and just, kill all the guards because they're overpowered.
Oh man, I can't do that when I play games like that. I'm too good to the core to do that.
Yeah.
It's like, I want to apologize to characters I accidentally hurt that aren't enemies,
Yeah, yeah. Like I play my BioWare games like that. Like I always play as the really, really good guy. But if you're a Sith Lord, like in KOTOR, I will kill you. I will murder you to death. Because it's like I need an outlet for my aggression. And when a Sith Lord comes along, I'm like, I've been good all day, but your ass, you're a bad guy. I can kill you with impunity. You know.
Exactly. Murdered to death. That's the way to do it.
And actually, my last game that I've just been enjoying is a tabletop game. So, which I've been playing at my business. Between I sit in the back room, and I come out and I occasionally do stuff. And then once it starts to get really busy, my staff is pretty well trained. So some of my other friends, we come over and just play games for a little bit.
Nice. Well, perhaps we should end there because we've been going on a while.
Yeah, we have, and it was fun. We should try and do this sometime again in the future. We'll try and by then we'll have worked out the kinks. So you have a good New Year and a good rest of your year, and enjoy the rest of your time off.
You as well. I will definitely enjoy the rest of my day.
So long.
All right. Peace out.